The teacher said no world survives. She raised her hand, "Except Earth Part 1. In the cold silence of space hung a great silver ring shaped like a hollowed moon. It was the Interstellar Academy, a school for the galaxy's brightest young minds from 100 different worlds. Every species that had touched the stars sent their children here to learn history, strategy, and the laws that held the fragile peace together. Among them walked Lily Morgan. She was small for a human, her brown hair tied back in a simple braid, her uniform neat but worn at the elbows. She moved quietly through the crowded halls, past towering Vrelians, with 4 arms, past shimmering Zenthai, whose skin shifted color with their moods, past the armored Krog, who clanked softly with every step. No one spoke to her. Much humans were ghosts in the galaxy, a species spoken of only in history lessons as a cautionary tale. Earth had vanished over 3,000 cycles ago, its last signal a burst of static swallowed by the void. Most believed it had torn itself apart in war or drowned in its own pollution. Some said it had been erased by a rival empire. Others claimed it never truly existed at all. Lily knew better. She had been born on Mars Colony 7, raised by her grandmother, who never stopped talking about Earth. The blue skies, the smell of rain on soil, the sound of birds at dawn. Her grandmother had shown her pictures printed on real paper. Not data chips. Real paper that yellowed at the edges and smelled like memory. Earth is alive, she would say every night before bed. They just stopped shouting. Lily never understood what that meant until she came to the academy. Now in her 2nd year, she sat in the back of Xeno History 304, taught by Master Kale, a Zenther elder whose voice could quiet a riot with 3 words. Today's lesson was the Great Silence. Kale stood at the front of the curved classroom, his 3 eyes scanning the rows of students, his long fingers steepled before him. No world survives. He began, his voice low and rough like stone dragged over ice. Every civilization that reaches for the stars eventually falls into darkness. Some burn in war, some rot from within. Some simply forget why they reached at all. He paced slowly, his clawed feet clicking on the dark floor. Earth was no exception. It rose quickly, bright and loud, then it fell faster than most. Its final century was chaos, fire, and noise. Then nothing. Not even a whisper, a murmur passed through the class of Vrelian student. Raised 2 hands at once, but Master Kale, Earth's collapse is well documented in the archives. Even their own last broadcasts speak of doom. Kale nodded precisely and tragically. True Lily's fingers curled around the edge of her desk, her chest tight. She remembered her grandmother's hands, rough from gardening, and the hydroponic dome hands that had once held real dirt from Earth hands, that had tucked her in every night with stories of oceans and mountains and cities that grew food on rooftops. They didn't fall. She wanted to say they chose to stop, but she stayed silent until Kale said the words that made her blood still. Earth is gone, not hidden, not sleeping, gone like ash in the wind. No world survives the Great Silence. Something inside Lily snapped. She raised her hand. Kale paused mid-step, his 3rd eye swiveling toward the back of the room. "You, Cadet Morgan." All eyes turned to her. She stood slowly, her voice steady. "Except Earth." The room went utterly quiet. Even the hum of the life support seemed to fade. Kyle tilted his head slightly, a dangerous gesture among Zenthars. It meant he was either amused or about to strike. "You speak nonsense." Child Lily did not sit down. Earth did not vanish. It chose silence. A Zenthai student let out a soft chime of disbelief. "Chosen silence is not survival, it is surrender." "No," Lily said, "it is wisdom." Kale stepped down from the podium, his shadow stretching long across the floor. "Come forward, Cadet." She walked to the center of the room, her boots silent on the smooth floor. The other students watched her like she was a relic or a ghost. "You claim Earth still exists," he said. "Yes, where is it? Then why has no ship seen it? Why has no signal come from it in over 3,000 cycles?" "Because they stopped sending signals." Lily said. "They stopped building warships, stopped mining asteroids, stopped trying to own the stars. They went quiet, not because they died, but because they learned what? That shouting into the dark attracts the wrong kind of attention." Kale's eyes narrowed. "Prove it." Lily reached into the inner pocket of her uniform and pulled out a small stone, no bigger than her thumb. It was smooth and warm, veined with threads of green and gold. It pulsed faintly like A slow heartbeat. The class leaned forward. "This is a Terran resonance stone," she said. "Forged only in the heart of Earth's oldest mountains. It bonds with human DNA and nothing else. It cannot be faked. It cannot be copied. It sings only for those who carry Earth in their blood." Kale took it carefully, his long fingers cradling it like something fragile. He activated the scanner on his wrist. A small blue beam swept over the stone. The device beeped once, then again, then a third time, in a pattern. No one in the room had ever heard. Kale froze. "What is it?" a Krug student rumbled. Kale looked up, his voice barely above a whisper. "This stone should not exist. The last one was recorded before the Solar Wars. It was believed lost when Earth fell. It was hidden," Lily said. "My grandmother carried it through the evacuation to Mars. She gave it to me when I was 10 and told me to keep it safe until the galaxy was ready to listen." The room was silent. Kale studied her face. Then the stone, then back to her. "You say Earth chose silence." Explainedly took a breath. "After the near collapse in the 21st century, humans realized they were killing their home. They had wars over water, over oil, over beliefs. But then something changed. A quiet movement began, not with armies but with gardens, with schools, with laws that protected rivers and forests. They stopped measuring success by how much they owned, and started measuring it by how much they healed. They dismantled their weapons, not because they were weak, but because they were strong enough to choose peace. They stopped broadcasting their location because they saw what happened to other worlds that shouted too loud. They turned inward, not out of fear but out of love for their world. And they survived." Kale was silent for a long time, then he handed the stone back to her. "This is either the greatest lie ever told or the most important truth in 10,000 cycles." "I'm not lying," Lily said. "I know," he said softly. The bell chimed, signaling the end of class, but no one moved. Lily walked back to her seat. The stone warm in her palm as students slowly filed out. Whispers followed her. "Earth lives. Earth is real. Earth chose silence." That evening, Lily sat alone in the Academy's quiet garden, a dome filled with alien flora that glowed softly in the dim light. She held the stone in both hands and closed her eyes. She remembered her grandmother's voice, soft and sure. "They'll call us gone, but we're just resting. Waiting for the universe to grow kind enough to understand us." Lily opened her eyes and looked up through the dome at the stars, somewhere out there hidden behind veils of dust and time. Her home waited not as a fortress, not as a beacon, but as a garden, and she was its first messenger back in his private chamber. Master Kale reviewed the Academy's oldest archives files sealed for centuries. He searched for any anomaly, any whisper that might support Lily's claim. He found 3. A deep space probe from the outer rim had once recorded a faint, harmonic frequency in a dead sector of space. The signal matched no known natural source and vanished after 12 seconds. An old trader's log mentioned a blue-green world glimpsed through a gravitational lens. But when they returned, it was gone, as if it had never been there. And in the ruins of a fallen empire, a mural showed a small planet wrapped in green and blue with the words, "She who listens survives." Kyle leaned back in his chair, his mind racing. For the first time in his long life, he wondered if survival was not about strength or technology or expansion, but about the courage to be quiet, to heal, to wait. Meanwhile, Lily returned to her quarters, a small room with a single window that looked out into the endless dark. She placed the stone on her desk beside a small photo of her grandmother. She knew the road ahead would not be easy. The galaxy would demand proof, would doubt her, would call her a dreamer or a fraud. But she also knew something they did. Not Earth was not waiting to be found, it was waiting to be worthy of, and Lily would spend every day proving that humanity still deserved to be remembered. Not as warriors, not as conquerors, but as gardeners of a world that chose life over noise. As she drifted to sleep that night, the resonance stone glowed softly on her desk, pulsing like a heartbeat from a world that refused to die, and far away across the silent sea of stars. Earth breathed quietly in the dark, alive, whole, and watching. Part 2 days passed and the Academy changed. Whispers followed Lily wherever she went. Students who once ignored her now watched her from a distance, some with curiosity, others with doubt, a few with something like hope. Master Kale announced a new Elective course survival through silence enrollment was full within the hour. Lily did not teach it, but she sat in the front row every session listening as Cale questioned old assumptions, as students debated whether peace could be a form of strength, whether hiding could be an act of courage. One afternoon after class, a small group approached her. They were not from powerful empires or warrior clans. They were from worlds that had suffered too much from noise, from war, from being seen too clearly. A young female Zenthai named Nira, whose people had lost their homeworld to a resource war, spoke first. "Tell us about Earth," she said, her skin shimmering pale blue with nervous hope. Lily smiled and sat with them on the garden steps. She told them of cities that tore down concrete to plant forests of children, who learned to grow food before they learned to use weapons, of laws that gave rivers the right to exist, of elders who were honored not for how many battles they won, but for how many lives they healed. Nira listened with wide eyes. "My people used to sing to our rivers," she whispered, "but the conquerors called it foolishness." "It wasn't foolish," Lily said, "it was love." Another student, a Krug named Torv, whose thick armor hid soft eyes, said, "My clan believes silence is shame. But maybe we were wrong. Maybe silence is protection." Lily nodded. Earth protected itself by becoming invisible. Not in fear, but in wisdom. As the weeks went by, more students came not to mock, but to learn. They asked Lily to show them human songs, so she sang old lullabies her grandmother had taught her, simple tunes about stars and cradles and quiet nights. They asked about human art, so she drew with charcoal on recycled paper pictures of mountains, oceans, and trees with roots deep in the soil. They asked about human justice, so she told them of restorative circles where wrongs were healed. Not punished, slowly something new began to grow in the academy. Not rebellion, not revolution, but a quiet shift. A seed of another way, but not everyone welcomed it. Commander Vrex of the Galactic Security Council arrived unannounced, his ship dark and sharp like a blade. He strode into the academy with 6 armored guards and demanded to see Master Cale. Vrex was tall. Even for a Krolosian, his face scarred from 100 battles, his voice like metal scraping stone. "Here you are spreading myths, Cale," he said in the headmaster's office. "Myths about a dead world." Cale stood calm. "Earth may not be dead." Vrex slammed, a fist on the desk. "It is dead, and even if it weren't, it would be a threat. Any world that hides is hiding weapons." Lily was summoned. She stood before Vrex, small and unarmed, her hands empty. "So you are the human." He sneered, the last ghost of a failed species. "I am Lily Morgan," she said simply. "You claim Earth lives. Where is it?" "I cannot tell you that." Vrex leaned close, his breath hot and sour. "You are either a liar or a traitor. If Earth exists and hides it, breaks galactic law. All worlds must register their location for the safety of all, safety or control." Lily asked. Vrex's eyes narrowed. Dangerous words. Girlmaster Cale stepped forward. "Commander? This is an academy, not a tribunal." Vrex ignored him. He turned to his guards. "Scan her, find the coordinates. She must have them hidden." The guards moved toward Lily, but before they could touch her, Nira stepped between them. "You will not lay hands on her." Torv joined her, then 3 more students, then 10, until a wall of young aliens stood between Lily and the guards. Vrex stared in disbelief. "You would protect a myth, we protect truth," Nira said. Vrex laughed, but it was hollow. He knew he had lost this round. "Fine," he said. "But know this, if Earth is real and hiding it will be found. And when it is, it will be brought into the light whether it wants to or not." He left the academy, but his threat hung in the air like smoke. That night Lily could not sleep. She walked to the observation deck and stared into the dark. She knew Vrex would not stop. He would search every system, he would pressure every archive, he might even send scouts to the old solar sector. Earth was hidden behind layers of cloaking fields grown from living coral that bent light and masked energy signatures. But if someone looked hard enough, for long enough, they might see a flicker. She had to warn them. But how then? She remembered the resonance stone. It did more than prove her bloodline. It could send a pulse, a single coded message through quantum entanglement, a trick her grandmother had shown her once just in case. Back in her room, she held the stone tightly and whispered the old words in English words. No alien tongue could translate. "Listen, home, they are looking." The stone glowed brighter than ever, then dimmed to a soft hum. Somewhere, Across the void, a receiver hidden deep in the Pacific Ocean lit upon Earth. The Council of Elders gathered. They were not kings or generals. They were farmers, teachers, healers, and poets chosen not for power, but for wisdom. They read Lily's message, in silence. Then Elena, the oldest among them, a woman with silver hair and hands that had planted 10,000 trees, spoke. She is safe for now, but the galaxy is waking to us. Should we reveal ourselves? Another asked. No, Elena said, not yet, but we must. Prepare, the veil may hold, but hearts must be ready. They activated the deep harmonics, a low-frequency hum that spread through Earth's crust, oceans, and atmosphere. Not a signal, but a shield. A living song that made the planet harder to see. Not by hiding it, but by making it feel like empty space to scanners. Meanwhile, at the academy, Lily returned to class. But Vrex's visit had changed things. Some students now looked at her with fear. Others with suspicion. Even Nira seemed distant. Only Torv stayed. Close, they are afraid. Lily said one evening as they sat under the glowing vines. Torv grunted, fear makes beings stupid. Lily smiled a little. Yeah, it does. But then something unexpected happened. Master Kyle called a full assembly. He stood before the entire student body. His voice echoing through the great hall. I have reviewed every record, every signal, every scrap of data on Earth, he began. And I have come to a conclusion. The room held its breath. Earth did not fall. It transformed. A murmur Rosakyle raised. A hand for silence, and in doing so it may have discovered something we have forgotten, that survival is not about being the loudest, the strongest, or the fastest, but about being the most whole. He turned to Lily. Come forward. She walked to the center, again, but this time she was not alone. Students rose and followed her until she stood surrounded by friends, old and new. Bill placed a hand on her shoulder. You have shown us a different path. Not of conquest, but of care, not of noise, but of nurture. Then, he announced the Academy would send no scouts, no probes, no demands to Earth's last known coordinates. Instead, they would study its way, and Lily would help them. Cheers erupted. But Lily felt no triumph, only weight, because she knew Vrex would not accept this, and he was not the only one who feared silence. Weeks later, a coded message reached the Academy, not from Earth but from the Outer Rim. It was from a scout ship that had vanished years ago, presumed destroyed. The message was short and broken. Found. Something blue-green singing, no weapons, no war, just life. Please tell them we saw it. We saw Earth. The message ended in statical, showed it to Lily in private. She touched the screen, tears in her eyes. They saw it and they believed. But Kale's face was grim. Vrex will get this message, Tool. Illy nodded, then let him. That night she stood again on the observation deck, the resonant stone warm in her palms. He thought of her grandmother's words. They'll come looking, but they'll only find what? They're ready to see. Earth had nothing to prove. It simply was, and Lily would keep standing between her home and the noise of the galaxy. Not with weapons, but with truth, with patience, with quiet courage. Far away on a blue-green world, the oceans rolled. The forests breathed and the people lived, not waiting to be saved, but ready to welcome those who finally learned to listen. And in the Academy halls, the first seeds of a new understanding began to take root, watered not by fear, but by hope. Part 3. The message from the scout ship spread like wildfire through the galactic networks within days. Every news feed from the inner rim to the outer colonies carried the same headline: possible Earth sighting. Panic and curiosity clashed in. Equal measure. Commander Vrex returned to the Academy. Not with guards this time, but with a full tribunal. 3 judges from the Galactic Council. Their faces unreadable behind smooth silver masks. They summoned Lily to the Grand Chamber, a circular room with walls of living crystal that hummed with recorded truths. You are accused of withholding critical information. Lily Morgan, the lead judge, said. Her voice filtered through a modulator that made it sound like wind through stone. Lily stood, alone in the center, her hands clasped behind her back. I have shared what I can. The second judge leaned forward. The scout ship reported a habitable world in Sector 9 Gamma matching Earth's old coordinates. Yet when our fleet arrived, there was nothing, because Earth does not wish to be found. Lily said gently. The third judge slammed a fist on the arm of his chair. That is not your choice to make. It is Earth's choice, she replied, and they have made it. Vrex stepped forward. his eyes burning. You are protecting a world that breaks galactic law by hiding its existence. That is treason. No, Lily said. It is respect. The judges conferred in low tones, then turned back. You will reveal Earth's location or be confined until you comply. Lily did. Not flinch, I cannot. They ordered her taken to the silent cells deep beneath the academy where no sound could enter or escape. But as the guards moved toward her master, Kale stepped into the chamber, followed by over 100 students. We stand with Cadet Morgan Kyle, said, his voice calm but firm. If she is guilty of treason, then so are we for listening to her. Truth Nira stepped forward. Next, Earth taught us that silence can be sacred, Torv grunted. Hiding is not lying. One by one the students formed, a circle around Lily, not to fight but to witness. The judges looked at each other uneasily. This is not a protest, this is obstruction. The lead judge, warned Kale, bowed slightly. We are not obstructing justice. We are asking you to see a wider truth. Tribunal withdrew to deliberate in the silence that followed. Lily looked at her friends and felt a warmth that no cell could extinguish. Hours later, the judges returned. We will not force her, they announced. But we will send a peace envoy to Sector 9 Gamma, not to invade but to listen. Lily's heart leapt. That is all Earth asks. The envoy would leave in 3 days, and Lily would go with them. The news sent shockwaves through the academy. Some called her a traitor. Others a hero. Most simply watched, in awe, as the girl who spoke of a lost world prepared to lead others to its doorstep. The night before departure, Lily sat with Kale in his quiet study. Are you afraid, he asked. Not of Earth, she said, but of what they might do if they misunderstand. Kale nodded. Earth's way is foreign to us. We have only known power through control. Then I will teach them to see differently, she said. He handed her a small device shaped like a leaf. It was a universal translator, but not for words, for feelings. It would help them sense the harmony of Earth, not just see it. Thank you, she whispered. The next morning, the envoy ship waited at the docking ring, sleek and white with no weapons visible, only sensors and open comms. Lily boarded with Kale, Nira, Torv, and 2 other students chosen for their open minds. As the ship lifted off the academy, shrank behind them a silver ring against the stars. For 3 days they traveled in quiet. Lily spent most of her time at the observation window, watching the stars blur into streaks of light. On the final approach to Sector 9 Gamma, the ship slowed. Nothing appeared on the scanners, just empty space dust and a few dead asteroids. The pilot frowned. Are you sure this is the place? Lily closed her eyes and held the resonance. Stone, yes. She activated the leaf device and stepped to the main console. Play the deep harmonic, she said. The pilot hesitated, then obeyed. A low tone filled the ship, not loud but deep, like the sound of a great bell underwater. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the space ahead shimmered like heat over desert sand, and slowly a world appeared. Blue oceans, green forests, white clouds swirling gently around a sphere that glowed with life. Not with machines, but with nature. Gasps filled the bridge. Naira's skin turned gold with wonder. Its realtor touched the screen with one thick finger. So much green. The ship hovered at the edge of Earth's atmosphere. No weapons, no shields, just open comms and open hearts. A voice came through the speakers, soft and calm in perfect galactic standard. You have come to listen. Lily stepped forward. Yes. Who speaks for you? I do. Lily Morgan of Earth and Marsa. Pause, then the voice said, Welcome, child. You may land in the Pacific Grove, but come in peace or not at all. The ship descended through soft clouds and touched down in a clearing surrounded by trees taller than any building Lily had seen on Mars. The air smelled sweet like rain and soil. As the ramp lowered, Lily stepped out first. Before her stood a woman with silver hair and kind eyes. Elena the Elder. You came back, she said. I brought listeners. Lily replied. One by one the envoys stepped onto Earth's soil. They expected cities of steel towers of glass, armies waiting in the trees. Instead, they found children, playing in streams, elders tending gardens, birds singing in branches, and a quiet so deep it felt like coming home. Kel knelt and touched the grass, tears in his eyes. This is not a world that fell. This is a world that healed. Over the next days, the visitors learned Earth's way. They ate food grown in the soil, not synthesized in labs. They slept under open skies, not in shielded rooms. They sat in circles and shared stories, not data. They learned that Earth had no president, No army, no borders, only communities that cared for each other and the land. On the third evening, Elena spoke to the group around a fire. We did not hide because we were weak. She said we hid because we were tired of being used. We watched other worlds shout into the dark and get torn apart by those who heard them. We chose to be quiet so we could live. Rex's envoy had expected deception. They found only truth. On the final morning, Kale approached Elena. "What do you ask of the galaxy?" "Nothing," she said. "Only that you respect our silence. If you wish to visit, come with open hands, not open scanners. If you wish to learn, sit and listen. Do not demand." Kale bowed deeply. "You have given us more than we deserve." As the ship prepared to leave, Lily stood with Elena. "One last time. Will they understand?" she asked. "Some will," Elena said. "That is enough." Lily hugged her tightly, then walked up the ramp. As the ship rose into the sky, she looked down at the green and blue world below. Not a fortress, not a myth, just home back at the Academy. The report from the envoy changed everything. The Galactic Council voted to recognize Earth not as a hidden threat, but as a protected sanctuary. No ships would enter its sector without permission. No signals would be forced. Earth would be left in peace. Lily returned not as a cadet, but as a bridge. Students came to her, not for weapons training, but for lessons in soil care and conflict healing and quiet courage. Naira started a garden on the Academy roof using seeds. Lily, brought from Earth Torv, began teaching. That strength could mean protection, not destruction. And Master Kale wrote a new history, one that ended not with extinction, but with endurance years. Later, when Lily stood before a new class of students, she told them the same story her grandmother had told Herence. There was a world that almost died but chose to live quietly. And in doing so, it taught the stars how to listen. The students sat in silence. Not the silence of fear, but the silence of understanding. And somewhere far away across the velvet dark Earth breathed on, whole, alive, and finally seen, not as a prize to be taken, but as a lesson to be learned. And Lily smiled, knowing her work was just beginning. 4 years passed, and the galaxy changed in small, quiet ways. Earth remained hidden to scanners, but open to hearts. Those who came with true intent found the veil parting like morning mist. They landed not in warships, but in unarmed vessels painted with symbols of peace. Lily Morgan no longer wore a cadet uniform. She wore simple clothes made from earth cotton, dyed with plant colors. She traveled between worlds not as a diplomat, but as a teacher. She taught alien children how to plant seeds in soil, not just in labs. She showed elders how to listen to rivers and how to read the wind like a story. She sat with warriors and taught them that the strongest shield was sometimes silence. On Krylos 7, the Academy built its first living garden, a place where food grew under open sky, and students learned that life did not need to be controlled to be valued. Nira became head of the new Harmony Studies program, her skin now often shimmering calm green as she guided others to find balance. Torv returned to his clan and convinced them to replace their war drums with planting songs. They still wore armor, but now it bore vines. Not blades. Master Kale retired from teaching but wrote books that spread across 100 worlds. One title became famous: The Art of Quiet Survival. But not all change was peaceful. Commander Virex never accepted Earth's way. He gathered followers who believed silence was weakness. They called themselves the Clear Sight and demanded all worlds reveal themselves fully or be declared threats. They began pressuring smaller planets to drop their privacy shields, to open their borders to galactic inspection. Some refused and vanished from the networks. Lily heard the reports and knew trouble was coming. She returned to Earth for the first time in 5 years. The moment her ship touched down in the Pacific Grove, she felt it. The air was heavier, the birds quieter. The trees seemed to lean inward as if guarding something. Alina met her at the edge of the forest. Her face lined with new worry. "They are testing the veil," she said. "Rex's fleet has been circling Sector 9 Gamma for weeks, sending pulses trying to force a response. Earth has not answered." "Good," Elena said. "But they grow bolder." That night around a fire, deep in the Redwood Valley, the Council of Elders gathered. "We could fight," Lily said. But she knew the words felt wrong even as she spoke them. Fighting would prove their point. That Earth is dangerous. Lena nodded. "We will not fight, but we will not hide forever either." "Then what?" "We will show them the cost of noise." The elders explained their plan. They would lower the veil just enough to let Vrex's fleet see Earth clearly, but they would not speak. They would not invite. They would simply exist in full view and let the galaxy watch what happened next. It was a risk. If Vrex attacked Earth would not defend itself with weapons. But with truth, Lily understood and agreed. The next morning she returned to the stars not to hide, but to prepare. She sent messages to every friend she had made across the galaxy, to every student who had planted a seed or sat in a listening circle. Come watch, she wrote. Do not fight, just witness. And they came. Ships gathered at the edge of Sector 9, Gamma, not to invade, but to observe, hundreds of them from every major world and many small ones. They formed a silent ring around Vrex's fleet. Vrex saw them and laughed. He addressed the gathered ships over open comms. You come to watch a ghost world. Well, today we expose the His fleet moved forward, scanners blazing, weapons charged. Then the veil dropped. Earth appeared in full glory. Blue oceans, green forests, white clouds, no shields, no warships, no defenses, just life breathing in the sunlight. Vrex ordered a warning shot. A beam of energy shot toward the planet. But instead of striking, it passed through a field of harmonic resonance created by Earth's deep harmonics and scattered into harmless light. Vrex snarled fire again. This time the beam bent upward and struck one of his own scout ships, disabling it without killing anyone. Earth had not attacked it. Had reflected, the watching ships held their breath. Vrex ordered a landing party. Shuttles launched toward the Pacific Grove. As they entered the atmosphere, something strange happened. The pilots began to hear voices, not commands but songs. Lullabies, stories of rain and roots and rivers. Their weapons felt heavy. Their armor tight. By the time they landed, they stepped out not as soldiers, but as confused beings. Before them stood children holding baskets of fruit, elders with open hands, and Lily Morgan alone and unarmed. One pilot lowered his weapon. What is this place? Home, Lily said. The pilot looked around at the trees, the clean air, the quiet joy in the faces. Around him he began to cry back in orbit. Vrex watched in fury. His soldiers were not conquering. They were sitting in circles sharing food. Listening, he ordered full bombardment. But his own fleet hesitated. Sir, one captain said over comms, I have a daughter. On that world she went as a student last cycle. Another added, my people once sang to rivers too. We forgot how Vrex screamed traitors. But it was too late. The clear sight began to fall apart. Ships powered down weapons and joined the ring of watchers. Vrex's command ship stood alone. Then Master Kale's voice came over the comms, Commander, you have a choice. Destroy a world that offers you peace, or step onto its soil and learn why it lives. Vrex did not answer. For hours he sat in silence. Then his ship turned and flew away, not in defeat but in confusion. The galaxy watched and learned. In the days that followed, thousands requested permission to visit Earth. Not to take but to learn. Earth said yes, but with rules. No weapons, no data mining, no demands. Only presence. Lily stood at the edge of the Pacific Grove, watching the first group arrive, beings of all shapes and sizes, stepping onto soil for the first time in their lives. A young Vrelian child knelt and touched the grass, then laughed in pure delight. Nira walked beside Lily, her eyes bright. They finally see. Torv stood nearby, arms crossed but smiling. Earth is not weak, it is wise. Years later, Lily would write in her journal that the greatest victory was not in winning a battle, but in making the enemy put down their sword, because they no longer saw an enemy. Earth never raised a weapon. It simply lived so well that others wanted to live too. And the galaxy began to change, not with laws or wars, but with gardens, with songs, with quiet choices made every day. Lily returned to teaching, not in halls of stone, but under open skies. She told her students the same story over and over. Once there was a world that almost died, but it chose to heal, and in healing itself, it healed others. The students listened, and somewhere, far away in the velvet dark, Earth breathed on it loud, not proud, just alive, and that was enough. Part 5. Peace settled over the sector like morning dew, soft and steady. Earth remained open but not exposed. Visitors came in small groups, stayed for seasons, not days, and left changed, not with data, but with understanding. Lily Morgan, now in her late 30s, walked the same forest paths she had as a child visiting from Mars. But now she walked with students from a dozen worlds, showing them how to read the language of leaves, how to listen to the silence between bird calls, how to know when the soil is thirsty. She no longer needed to prove Earth existed. Its truth was felt, not declared, but new challenges rose not from war, but from longing. Many aliens wished to stay on Earth forever. They called it the quiet heart of the galaxy, they said. It healed wounds they did not even know they carried. But Earth could not become a refuge for all. The elders held council again. "We welcome learners, not settlers," Elena said gently. "Earth is not a cure. It is a teacher." So they created the Wayfarer Path, a program where visitors could live on Earth for one full cycle of seasons, then return to their own worlds to share what they learned. Lily helped design it. He taught wayfarers how to build soil gardens in cities, how to resolve conflict without violence, how to honor elders and protect the young. One day, a young Krelosian named Jen arrived, trembling with anxiety. Her world had known only noise, war, and speed. She could not sleep for more than an hour at a time. Lily took her to the river. "Just sit," she said. "Listen." Jen sat for hours, hearing only water and wind. On the third day, she cried, not from sadness but from relief. "I forgot silence could feel safe," she whispered. By the end of her year, Jen could plant seeds, identify bird songs, and sit through a thunderstorm without flinching. When she left, she hugged Lily tightly. "I will build a quiet place on my world. You already carry it," Lily said. Back in the galaxy, the Wayfarer Path inspired change. Unvrelia cities began tearing up metal plazas to plant food forests. On Zenthai, ships now carried living walls of moss and ferns to calm travelers. Evan, former Clearsight members, started peace circles in their barracks. But the greatest shift came in education. The Interstellar Academy replaced its old core course. Extinction is inevitable. With a new one, life finds a way. And Lily was invited to teach it. She returned to the Silver Ring not as a cadet, but as Master Morgan. Her first class filled to capacity. She did not stand at the front. She sat in a circle on the floor. "Today we do not study how worlds fall," she said. "We study how they rise." Student raised a hand. "But Master Morgan, what if your world is broken? What if the rivers are poisoned? The air is thick and the people fight all the time?" Lily smiled. "I come from such a world," she told them, "of Earth's near end. The choking skies, the burning forests, the wars over water." But then she told them of the turning, how ordinary people planted gardens on rooftops, how mothers taught children to mend instead of break, how laws began to protect not profit but life. "It did not happen overnight," she said. "It happened one choice at a time." A Krug student spoke softly. "My people believe change must come from the top." "Maybe," she said, "but on Earth, it came from the roots." After class, a small group stayed behind. Among them was a human boy no older than 12, his eyes wide with awe. "You are really from Earth?" he whispered. Lily knelt to his level. "Yes," my parents said. "Humans were gone, that we were. A warning in history books. You are not gone," she said. "You are just beginning." The boy's name was Daniel. He had been born on a mining station. His only knowledge of Earth came from broken archives. Lily invited him to walk with her. They sat under the Academy's artificial sky, and she told him stories of real rain, of fireflies, of the smell of bread baking in a village oven. He listened with tears in his eyes. "Can I go there one day? If you learn to listen," she said. "Earth hears those who respect." Her weeks later, Daniel started a quiet club in the academy where students sat in silence for 10 minutes a day. Just breathing, just being. Others laughed at first, but soon many joined. Silence became not empty, but full. Meanwhile, on Earth, the elders watched the stars with new eyes. They knew their way was spreading not by force, but by invitation. But they also knew balance was fragile. One evening, Elena called Lily to the council grove. "We have received a signal," she said, "from the outer void. Not from any known world." It was faint, a repeating pattern of tones that matched no language but carried a deep sorrow. The resonant stone reacted to it, humming with a low ache. Lily touched it and felt a pull not of fear but of kinship. "Someone out there is hurting," she said. Alina nodded. "And they are calling not with weapons but with song." The council debated. Should they answer? Earth had stayed hidden for so long. But Lily spoke softly. "Maybe our time of silence is ending, not because we must be seen, but because others need to be heard." The elders agreed. They sent a single message, not coordinates, not an invitation, but a single note. The same tone the unknown voice had sent. A reply came within days. Gratitude. No words, just that one feeling wrapped in. Soundlily knew then that Earth's role was changing. It would no longer just be a sanctuary. It would become a harbor, not for the powerful, but for the weary. For those who had lost their way in the noise of the galaxy, and who longed for a place where life was not measured in conquest but in care. Back at the academy, Lily stood before her class again. A student asked, "What is Earth's greatest weapon?" Lily looked out the window at the stars. "Its greatest weapon is that it does not need one." The class fell silent, not the silence of fear, but the silence of understanding. And far away in the dark, a new voice began to whisper, not of war, not of loss, but of hope. And Earth listened, as it always had, as it always would, because survival was never about being the loudest. It was about being the truest, and in a galaxy full of shouting stars, one quiet world had finally taught them how to hear.